How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about 10 cheap cars that you can buy that will hopefully go up in value. All 10 of these cars can be bought for under £10,000, and I do think that in the future prices should be going up simply because of the prestige or the beauty or the whatever it is that I have to say about these cars. And on that, normally I talk about a bit of the background of the cars and all that kind of stuff. Instead, in this video I'm going to focus specifically on why I think these cars are going to have higher values in the future, which means that you guys can easily debate me in the comments down below and tell me if you think my thoughts are correct or incorrect, or let me know what cars you think for under £10,000 will go up in value in the future. Don't forget that I'm in the UK, so prices in other countries may differ, and whenever you buy any second-hand car, maintenance, repairs, insurance, road tax, all that good stuff is important to remember. If you enjoyed this video, please do subscribe to the channel and hit the like button as well. 1,000 likes and I'll do the same video again at under £5,000 instead. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. Let's kick this video off with one of my personal favourites, the Brabus Roadster, a small city car with aggressive stylings and a pretty prestigious badge, particularly for something with such a minuscule engine, a 0.7 litre turbocharged inline-3 that makes 101 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 9.5 seconds. So why do I think this will increase in value? Well, first of all, there are just 271 of these on the roads here in the UK, many of which have pretty low mileage. They've been kept as city cars, and in the past few years they've been getting sawned at an increasingly rapid rate, which either means they're drying out and becoming more sparse, or they're being kept safe as little investments. And when I say little, I mean little. You're certainly not compensating for anything in one of these, as they're just 135 inches long and 65 inches wide, weighing under 815 kilograms. Compared to the standard car, the Brabus came with some more aggressive stylings, including the alloys and interior, but if you really want an investment piece, spend a bit more and you can get yourself an RCR, of which just 50 were made for us here in the UK and were all painted Ferrari red. These start at around the £5,000 mark, and for 10k you'll get a really nice 2006 example with around 30,000 miles on it. Gearboxes are known to be clunky on these, rust is an issue, particularly on the alloys, and some owners complain about build quality. Onto a classic now in ninth, the BMW 840 Ci, which has already steadily been increasing in value for a while. It has a 4.4 litre V8 engine that makes 286 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.8 seconds. If you've watched my video on affordable dream BMWs, you'll know this featured, with its stylings that hark back to the £500,000 BMW M1. Of course, the value of this car isn't tied to the M1, but it's nice to own something inspired by that legend. More importantly though, I think this will continue to gain in price, as the hype that the car created before it was released, leading it to be sold out and sold for overs before it even went into production, is slowly coming back today, at least among enthusiasts, with ideal examples already fetching over £30,000 when they used to go for under £2,000 15 years ago. This comes despite owners saying it was too heavy and slow after it was released. Sadly, you'll only just get into one of these for the 10k mark, and it will likely have pretty high miles for that kind of money. Smoke on startup or overrun, timing chain tension is wearing, and old suspension are the key problems I could find on forums. It's no secret that I absolutely adore Lotuses, and the Elan is, in my opinion, a pretty underrated little car. It has a 1.6 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine that makes 165 brake horsepower, which gets from 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. There were previous Elan generations, but the M100 series didn't really follow them. Instead, it revived them after the Plus 2 disappeared around 15 years earlier. The car was released for the 1989 model year and was a result of General Motors buying Lotus and providing the funds to make an affordable sports car that would be a more premium rival to cars like the MX-5 and the MR2. It was designed by the same man that designed the Jaguar XJS and co-designed the McLaren F1 with Gordon Murray, so you're in some pretty good company, but that's not why I think this will continue to grow in value. I think its history as a car that originally no Lotus enthusiasts wanted because it was front-wheel drive, then realised they did want because it was one of the best handling front-wheel drive cars made to date, then realised they couldn't afford it because General Motors went back on their deal of it being affordable and listed it for basically the same price as a Corvette in the US, which basically ended it until the Bugatti Lotus bought Lotus and revived it again, is the main reason why this car is going to continue to go up in value in the future. These have also been increasing in price for a few years now, and £9,000 a minute you'll find them listed for. Engines are known to be very reliable, but regular oil changes are needed, as in every 5,000 miles or so. The cam angle sensor is the key weak point. The Fiat Coupe had a massive price boom a few years ago, but has settled ever so slightly since then. But I think the classic state of this car is still pending, with its hallowed 2-litre turbocharged inline-5 engine that makes 220 brake horsepower, getting it to 60 in 6.5 seconds. This features on multiple websites as a surefire future classic, but getting one in good condition can be quite tough, as they're renowned for rust, particularly around the sills and floor pans, and pretty much everywhere else, so some have met rot-related deaths. But if you do get a nice one, you're buying a car that was designed by Chris Bangle, who went on to design a bunch of BMWs, and the interior was done by Pininfarina. They've dropped in numbers drastically from 3,558 at their peak in 2000 to just 488 on the roads today, and more are now coming out of being sawned as people restore them into being usable classic cars for the road. I personally love the Ferrari-like rear lights, as well as that shape that more generally reminds me of something far more exotic. £4,500 the minimum that you'll find these listed for, making it the cheapest car on the list, and for 10k you'll have anywhere up to 100,000 miles on the clock. I love the look of the Jaguar XJS, and honestly I think it's one of the most underrated classic cars out there, given how different it looks to so many other cars. It has multiple engine choices, including a 5.3-litre V12 that produces 266 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.5 seconds. It went through multiple generations across its extensive lifespan from 1975 to 1995, and was built on the XJ platform. Whether you go for the coupe or the convertible, you'll get a properly pretty classic with a period interior too, which has its pros and cons. And prices of these have been on the way up over recent years, albeit quite slowly. Somehow it hasn't quite reached full classic status yet, but I think that given the iconic shape I alluded to, in time this will get the full respect I think it deserves, especially because that V12 block is known to be quite reliable and fun to drive, though some owners do prefer the inline 6 options. These start at around £5,000 in working order, and for 10k you'll get a 1991 model with around 80,000 miles on it. Just a reminder, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, I'd really appreciate it, and subscribe as well if you're new. 1,000 likes and I'll do the same video again under £5,000. Let's get back into the video. Can't talk about investment cars without talking about a homologation special, which as near as makes no difference what the Toyota Celica GT4 is. Being crude, it's like an old, less hype and cheap substitute for the GR Yaris. It has a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 that makes 239 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.1 seconds. The reason why I think the ST205 is going to continue to grow in value, as it has done even in the last year pretty well, is that incredible story behind the World Rally Championship Toyota team getting caught cheating with their absolute rocket ship of a car, which is using a really intelligent workaround with the turbo restrictor that allowed air to both bypass the restrictor and automatically move the restrictor out of the way when the car was driving. It was so good in fact that Max Mosley, the head of the FIA, remarked on how beautifully made the cheat was and how clever it was too, but of course the team still had to be banned from both the 1995 and 1996 WRC seasons. This ST205 GT4 is the homologation special for that car, and for that reason I think it's a surefire future classic. £8,000 the lowest that I could find these listed for, and for £10,000 you'll still be looking at pretty high mileage, but either way these are few and far between. Ironically, worn turbos are a key issue on these, as well as rust and some electrical problems. A few buyer's guides note that they can be quite expensive to run. Taking fourth is the next SL to gain some classic love in my opinion, the R230 SL, specifically the SL500 with its 5-litre V8 engine that makes 306 brake horsepower and will go from 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds. So I think this car will continue to grow in price for a couple of reasons. The first is simply because basically every SL before it has done exactly that, and now I think it's the R230's turn. The R129 has been increasing in value, as is the R107, and the W113 and original SLs are like gold dust, so assuming history repeats itself, the R230 will do exactly the same thing. The second reason that there are some more desirable R230s like the SL55 AMG, SL600, SL63 AMG and SL65 AMG, all of which are already increasing in value too, or already at mad budgets, with even more insane engines. Plus the design isn't too dissimilar to the McLaren SLR, which is pretty cool. These start at around £6,000, and for 10 grand you get a 2005 model with around 80,000 miles on it. Reliability is supposed to be pretty good on these, but build quality and electrics are known to cause problems, and ongoing maintenance can be expensive. Taking third, we have another car that's pretty heavily lusted over, the Honda S2000, with its 2-litre inline-4 engine making 240 brake horsepower, which takes it to 60 in 6 seconds. This is a special car for the Honda brand, and it was built to commemorate the 50th birthday of the company. Though you won't be able to afford it for our budget in this video, I'd personally be after the 2004 or most recent facelift, but whatever you go for, you get a cherished car that sold very well, has owners clubs around the world today, and prices have been steadily rising for the past few years, as I can remember these sitting at around the 5 to 6k mark when I started this channel almost 4 years ago, while now these are also pretty hard to come by for under 10 grand beforehand, but they do start at around £7,000 in working order. There are also some other great Hondas that are also setting a precedent for people spending more and more to get the best examples, like the Integra Type R, Civic Type R, and of course the hallowed NSX, and I wonder how long before the top quality 30k examples of these become even more expensive. These do like to burn oil though, and they are known for rust. I've spoken about the 986 Boxster S a few times recently, but another Boxster that I reckon has decent value potential is the 987S, or the second generation Boxster with its 3.2 litre flat 6 engine that makes 280 brake horsepower and will manage 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds. The car did away with the fried egg style headlights of the previous generation, which were controversial for quite a long time, but are now becoming pretty well loved. I would say that the 987S is the less controversial car with a more universal love than 986. Porsche have done an incredible job gaining respect in the market, and with the increasing values of their older 911s, which were nowhere near as popular as today's 911s when new, the values of their cheaper alternatives have also increased. In the 987S's case, that's the 997 911, which is slowly creeping up in price, but I assume will creep faster as it gets older, just as the 996 is starting to, and the 993 has already done. I reckon this will have implications for the Boxster 987S as well as the Cayman. £7,500 minimum that I could find these listed for, and for 10k you'll get a 2005 example with 100k on the clock. IMS failure is the main known problem with these, but it is rare and you can replace the part with a stronger one for peace of mind if you prefer. Taking the top spot in this video is the Audi S8, which is an absolute beast of a luxury cruiser, with that 5.2 litre V10 engine making not only a great sound, but 443 brake horsepower, taking the car to 60 in 4.9 seconds, blowing all the other cars on this list out of the water. I've mentioned many times that this car has a cult following, but I think that this car will follow the precedent set by its predecessor, which is already available for over £20,000 because of scarcity and enthusiast love for this car. The D3 is a more capable car overall, as well as being more luxurious, and of course having a similar-ish engine to the Lamborghini Gallardo. I'm not sure it will have the best ROI of any of the cars on this list as it's not the most popular, but owning a V10 luxury saloon is a thing of the past now, and I think that will impact values longer term for those that want something as ridiculous as possible. These have been creeping up in value slowly for the last few years, and £9,000 is the lowest that I can find these listed for, while 10 grand will get a 2008 model with around 100,000 miles on it. Timing chain tension is wearing could end your bank account, and carbon buildup is another key issue with these. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure the like button, I would really appreciate it, and subscribe as well if you're new. Massive thanks to the patrons always for their support, and to you guys as well for watching. I'll see you in the next one.